This episode is sponsored by MANDO, the full-body deodorant that blocks odor all day and controls it for up to 72 hours. Whether it's game night or date night, you always want to smell good. And with Mando's starter pack, you get their solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and more, all with free shipping. To get $5 off your starter pack, go to shopmando.com and use code COMMAND. Support the show and tell them we sent you by using code COMMAND at shopmando.com. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Weeks.
And I'm Jordan Pridgen.
Yeah, joining us for the second Precon upgrade of the brand new Aetherdrift set. Today we are talking about the Esper Eternal Might Precon. It's white, it's blue, it's black, it's full of zombies, and it's pretty cool.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really sweet. So we're going to talk about everything that comes in this deck if you buy it off the shelf, and we're going to give you 10 cards to add to it and the 10 cards to take out to upgrade it so it is as powerful as it could possibly can be for your next game night. And we'll keep it to a budget of $50. So hopefully everything fits in your budget, or you can just play it off the shelf. It's pretty good that way as well. But before we get into it, if you want to pick up any of the cards that we talk about in this episode, if you want to buy the cards for the upgrade, if you want to get the Precon itself, you can support the show by going to cardkingdom.com/command. Card Kingdom has all of the new cards from Aetherdrift, all of the new Precons from Aetherdrift. If you're drifting around corners, excited about these new silly cards and the set that they come in, you can pick them all up over at Card Kingdom. We know you're picky. I'm picky. Jordan's picky about the kind of cards that go in your deck. I like shopping at a place that I trust to know the Magic cards. So the one that I order on the website is the one that shows up on my doorstep in the right printing, in the right foiling, in the right condition. You get what you expect out of it, and you don't get a card showing up on your doorstep that is disappointing or just wrong. And if something does go wrong, they have a great team to take care of you. Make sure that you are always getting the top quality service that Card Kingdom can provide. Plus, they're really good at shipping. They can package stuff really safely. It's the rainy season for a lot of folks. We hope it's the rainy season for us soon. Dear God.
Please.
We could really use the rain.
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be incredible. But they know how to package a package so that the cards that show up on your doorstep, even if it went through the wind and the rain, are still going to be safe and sound. Again, cardkingdom.com/command. Pick up the cards we're going to talk about today.
And then, Rachel, once you get those cards, are you going to play them unsleeved, wrapped in a rubber band?
Heathen! No, you're going to go to ultrapro.com/command and get the highest quality accessories for your TCG lifestyle. You can get sleeves and deck boxes, things to keep your decks safe, your cards safe, Jordan.
Yeah.
When you're
that's
playing
how
them
I
on
used
the
to
sidewalk.
play,
I know.
But I learned. I've come around, and ULTRAPRO showed me the way.
You can still play on the concrete. You just have to put a play mat down first. If you roll up with matching sleeves and matching deck box and matching playmat, they're going to be like, whoa.
That's a flex.
That is a flex. If you want to flex at MagicCon, you can also pick up the Mana 8 product. They're big and white and have bold mana symbols on the center. They're great to get doodled on by artists at MagicCon or signed by your favorite creators out walking around. I really like signing the Mana 8 stuff because it just looks better.
Those playmats are perfect.
Yeah, they're great, and it's a really cool memento for after the event. So pick them up at ultrapro.com/command, and you'll be supporting the show when you do so. And you'll be ready to come see us at MagicCon in Chicago. It's February 21st is our show. That's the Friday. We're at a slightly different time. It's at 6 p.m., and we're in a little side theater this time. So not on the main hall, not at the main stage. We've got a lot more seats for you. It's going to be nice and comfy. Everybody's going to definitely have a spot to sit to see the show. And we're going to have a lot more space to work. So who knows what cool stuff that we will have cooked up for this one.
I'm excited. It's a cool venue.
I am very excited. This is a whole new thing for us. So come see a bigger, a bolder, a more theatrical game nights live at MagicCon Chicago. And if you're there, come say hi. We've got signings and stuff. We'll be walking around. We'd love to meet you. Finally, if you're a patron, thank you. But we also shout out one patron every single podcast episode. And this one is dedicated to Andrew Smeraliolo.
Smeraliolo.
Yeah,
Smeraliolo.
Smeraliolo. You rock.
You rock.
Sorry.
We really tried. We even discussed it beforehand.
We were like, we can do it. I'm sure we can do it. And we didn't. But it's for you, Andrew. You rock. Thanks for supporting the show. We're going to get into the topic for today's episode. We're going to be talking about the Eternal Might Precon. It's white, it's blue, it's black, it's full of zombies. We're going to do an upgrade. We're going to add 10 cards. We're going to take 10 cards out using a budget of only $50. But before we make any changes, we like to get to know the deck first. So we're going to start by meeting the Face Commander.
Okay, this Face Commander is an old character from Amonkhet, but
he's
brought back as a mummy.
Eternalized.
Yes. Not eternalized, embalmed.
Embalmed. You're right. I'm sorry.
Eternalized is different.
It's totally
lore
different.
Stuff. This is Timid, Noctimun's Will. He is 2 white, blue, and black, so Esper, for a 4/4 legendary creature zombie wizard who has vigilance and menace. And whenever you attack, draw a card, then discard a card. And whenever you draw a card, zombies you control get +1/+1 until end of turn.
Oh my gosh, that is an Anthem effect.
That's a powerful ability.
Yeah, this is sweet. I mean, it's another Esper Zombies commander. It's a typal deck, likely. If you're building a Temet deck from scratch, I would expect it to really go wide, make a ton of zombies to maximize that Anthem effect to pump as many creatures as possible. And I'd probably expect some big instant speed draw spells to surprise your opponents with a ton of damage out of nowhere.
Yeah, it seems like it just wants to be really aggressive. I mean, Timid himself seems like a pretty good attacker
Menace
with the Vigilance Menace 4/4. I mean, he's basically a Vigilance Menace 5/5. Because you're always going to draw one thing.
Impossible to block,
yeah,
right?
That's really hard.
Because it's Menace, so you have to put 2 creatures on the line. He could get pumped at any moment.
Yeah.
So if they just cast a Brainstorm, suddenly he and all of your zombies are 3 power bigger, and you lose 2 of your creatures and don't kill him.
Well, and
brutal.
He doesn't need to attack for it to work. You just need to attack. But I love it when they build commanders like this, and they also like make them good attackers. You know, not impossible. Like he can be dealt with, but he enables himself really well, and I like that.
Yeah, this is cool. So that's the Face Commander of this deck. Gives you a good idea for what we expect the rest of the box to look like.
Yep.
A lot of zombies, a lot of card draw. Should be fun. The backup commander is a little different. It is a zombie. It is Hashaton, Scarab's Fist. White and a black for a zombie wizard. Only white-black, Jordan.
That's pretty good. Is he weak?
No. It says whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 and a blue. There's the blue. If you do, create a tapped token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. So you can discard any creature card, pay 3, and just get a 4/4 of it.
And that one's eternalized.
And it can be, and then it's instant speed too.
It's pretty good.
It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm obsessed with this card. I played it on the game nights for Aetherdrift, so you'll get to see me play it soon. It's really busted. It's really good.
But before we actually started recording, we were both being like, "Oh my god, Hashaton is so cool."
Yeah. It's a really sweet card. It's the backup. It's got a slightly different focus. It makes zombie tokens. It is a zombie. It cares about discarding, which the Face Commander does. But this is going to be less typal, I would think.
And it's worth noting too that it doesn't enable itself. Like it has nothing on it that discards for you. So you need to make that happen somehow.
Right. So if you were building a Hashaton deck, I would expect a lot of discard outlets or looter spells or just something that gets you discarding. And we'll look at what's in this box to see if one or both of these commanders are supported out of the box or just with our upgrade. But Hashaton's very cool.
And worth noting about Hashaton, which I don't think we said, maybe you did, but he also doesn't exile the thing that he makes a copy of. It's just in your graveyard to do with as you will.
But how will you bring it back?
Oh, well.
In a white and black.
There's probably no ways.
I can't think of one way.
Yep.
Let's talk about what is in this box financially. What are you getting when you buy it off the shelf? There is a lot of notable reprints in the deck. We're going to tell you all of the ones that are worth $5 or more, of which there are 10.
Yeah.
10 reprints over $5. Yeah.
So
take us through them, yeah.
the top one is Rot Hulk at $15.
Nice.
Followed by the Scarab God at
Yes!
$15, which is like a personal favorite card of mine, period.
I mean, the Scarab God is one of the coolest cards of all time.
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
clearly what we're referencing with the Scarab's Fist
Oh,
on
he says it
Hashiton.
on the
His
thing.
name is Scarab's Fist.
And his flavor text is, I serve the Scarab in an age long past, in another form, under another name, no matter their visage, I serve. So we serve.
I serve.
Followed by Bantu's Monument, which is $9.50. Unholy Grotto, which is $9.
That was a nice reprint.
Yeah, really nice. Gravecrawler, which is $8, and it's just a zombie staple. God Eternal Oketra, who's $7.50 and is just super fun in zombie
I
decks.
love that you get to have God Eternal Oketra in the zombie deck because she doesn't often fit in the color identity.
When I was doing the upgrade for this and I hadn't looked at the list, the first thing I did was grab the Scarab God and God Eternal Oketra, and I'm like, I'm going to try and fit these in if there's room.
Yeah.
And the fact they were already in the deck, I was like, well, that's amazing.
That rules!
The next reprint is Crypt Breaker at $6.50, also really good. Zombie Master at $6.50. Crowded Crypt at $6. And Archfiend of Ifnir at $5.
Archfiend of Ifnir, brutal in a deck that can do a lot of discarding. So those are all of the over $5 reprints and really, really solid includes here. We've got a lot of different things going on, a lot of zombie typal stuff, but also a little bit of discard and a little bit of recursion, not to mention some big old tokens.
Yeah, so many of these I just call like straight up zombie staples. If you're interested in zombies, even if it's another deck, like this is a really good starting point.
Absolutely. If you like have what's the blue black guy from Innistrad?
Oh, I know you're talking about the why did you put me on the spot like that? You know,
Jordan knows.
he makes
I don't.
decayed
Yeah,
zombies,
that one that we all know.
who's very popular. Wilhelt, the Rock Cleaver.
Wilhelt.
It's Wilhelt, the Rock Cleaver.
You did it
She
before
didn't get to
I
look it up.
didn't even look it up. Jordan remembered. See, I knew you knew.
Yes, it was there.
Wilhelt. If you have a Wilhelt deck and you're like, I've been waiting for some like zombie reprints, here's what they are, all in one box.
The opportunity.
Very cool. Those are the specific reprints in the deck, but let's talk about the overall reprint value as well. We have MSRP.
Oh!
It's back. This deck has an MSRP of $45. So that is what you expect to pay at your local game store or at big box stores, wherever you pick up your Magic product. So we're going to use it as the basis for all of our stats because that's going to be the closest to average. But
Best we can do.
It's the best we can do. If you pay more than that, you can adjust it accordingly. But with that in mind, and keeping in mind that it only takes into account the value of the reprints in the deck, not any of the new cards, there are 76 reprints in the deck. It also doesn't consider any of the basics.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not really worth anything. The total reprint value is
$156.25. That's real high.
That's real high.
That's really good.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's like well above the average reprint value compared to last year, which was $137.79.
Yeah.
Like hugely above, like two solid reprints, higher than what we came to expect in 2024. So a very exciting number. To put that number into context, because there's been so many different prices of precons, we've been taking a bang for your buck value that tells you if you buy this product at $45 and you're getting $156 in reprint value, what is your like return on investment? For every $1 American dollar that you put in, you get $3.47 worth of cards for your $1 cash. So you're more than tripling your value in reprints alone. Not to mention you get Hashiton and all of the new cards in the deck, including Temet.
Having just gone over like all the decks from last year, like that's a really good start.
It's a really good start. I like to see that value to kick off the year. It reminds me of Merge at Karlov Manor had a really, really great reprint value to start off the year. So glad to see it. That bang for your buck value is also well above average, which was $2.75 last year. All right, that's what's in the box financially. We're going to talk about what's in the box mechanically so you understand what kind of magic is happening, which means it's time to break down the Stats.
We've got stats.
We did it. It's stat time. Let's talk about it. Our first chunk of stats, we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts, the stuff that goes into every commander deck, and we'll tell you how balanced it is and get an idea for what the vegetables are looking like.
So we are starting out with 9 ramp pieces in the deck, which
Nice.
I'd consider a little low, but pretty solid. And Esper has a tough time ramping anyway.
I think that's fine, yeah.
9 draw cards, which has a lot of card selection, but we'll kind of go into some of that stuff later.
I didn't include selection in the 9 draw. There's only 9 card advantage spells. Usually we'd want a little bit more than that, but the deck does have a lot of ways to filter cards, which we'll talk about.
Does help with Timid and
Right.
stuff, but it just a little different. Then it has 9 pieces of interaction, like single target interaction.
That's about where I'm comfy.
Yeah, and 4 board wipes.
This does include Archfiend of Ifnir and like a couple things that are conditional board wipes, but still, that's a lot.
Yeah, and even if Archfiend of Ifnir isn't always a full board wipe, there are games where it's a board wipe more than once.
Yes.
So it's
I think he's
definitely worth
earned
counting.
his number.
Real good. Then it has 39 lands and 14 basics. So that's certainly a high land count from what I normally do in these, or what I'd go for in
Definitely
decks, but-
a high land count, especially in a deck that has a lot of filtering, but I wouldn't cut too many from there. If you're keeping the face commander, you've got a 5-mana commander, and
Yeah.
if you switch to Hashiton, you can't really do anything without spending 3 mana every time. So I think this deck is going to be sort of sneaky mana hungry.
I think that's a really good point too. And I mean, like, when I was playing with it and goldfishing and messing around, I found having plenty of lands was nice when you're looting with Timid every turn, because if you have stuff you want to play, you always have lands to discard and you're not worried about running out and not hitting them.
Yeah, when you have that amount of filtering, you can get away with having slightly more lands, and then you guarantee that you're always hitting that land drop, which we know in Commander is extremely important.
Then you only have to put good cards in the bin when you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Up next, we're going to break down the more specific stats for this deck so you get to know what it does specifically. We like to sort of consider both of the possible commanders and get an idea for which one of them is more supported out of the box. There are 42 cards in this deck that are considered zombies. They have zombie types, or they make zombie tokens in some way.
Pretty good.
That's a huge amount.
Yeah.
That is a very high density of zombies, so you know Temet is well supported. There are 17 zombie payoffs, so cards that specifically care about zombies on the board, like Cryptbreaker or Gravecrawler would
Zombie
be considered
Lords and
zombie
stuff.
lords.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cards that specifically care about you having zombies. There are 14 draw and discard effects. So this is looters, but it also includes like cyclers, like single use discard and draw effects. So it gives you an idea for a lot of the filtering that's happening is just kind of getting rid of an Archfiend of Ifnir if you can't do it.
And there is a decent amount of cycling in the deck. I think that they put that in because it's sort of like a throwback to Amonkhet and stuff too.
It's a throwback to Amonkhet. It works really well with the backup commander as well. If you can like cycle your Archfiend of Ifnir, then you get a token copy of Archfiend with Hashiton, and then you can reanimate it from the graveyard using some of the other effects that are in the deck. So the draw discard does become really, really powerful. That being said, there's only 3 discard payoffs in the deck, including Hashiton. So that gives us an idea for what the deck is actually trying to do on its face. If there's only 3 cards that care about like when you actually discard, it doesn't seem like that's the primary function of the 99. And finally, there's only 4 recursion cards in the deck. Those are things that would bring back other things.
Pretty surprising.
I would expect this to be higher, especially for a zombie deck that is like specifically built around looting.
Yeah. And I noticed, we don't have a number here, but there's also a lot of cards that like, reward for entering or dying kind of thing. So I almost expected it to have a bit more of a, recursion, aristocrats keep bringing things back kind of stuff. But it doesn't seem like that's the direction they wanted the deck to go in, at least out of the box.
It's definitely more of a like draw a bunch of cards, keep your hands full, redeploy zombies than it is like sacrifice a zombie, bring the zombies back, which is more of a typical zombie play pattern, I think. It's the white showing probably in the white, blue, black. So those are the stats for that deck. For this deck, it gives you an idea for what we're trying to do. All of those things considered, I want to talk about what the best cards in the deck are. So when you're mulliganing or when you draw them, you know exactly what you're looking for.
The ones that are, if they're in your opening hand, it's a great start.
Pretty good.
I think this is the first one I thought of just like going through the deck. and was another one that I was like, if it's not in the deck, I'm going to add it, is Crypt Breaker.
Yeah, I'm so glad they reprinted this one.
Just such a good zombie staple. This is a black for a 1/1, and then it's a zombie, and it has the ability 1 and a black to tap and discard a card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token into the battlefield, and then you can tap 3 untapped zombies you control, you draw a card, and you lose 1 life. So, I mean, this makes zombies. This turns the zombies that you have into card draw if you don't have good attacks.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a situation later in the game where you've played out a couple zombies that can't attack this turn, you can use this and tap those zombies to pump all your other zombies with Timid and get in. I think this card just, is an engine on its own. It does so much. If you've seen it in play in a zombie deck, it's really good.
It's really busted, especially for only at 1 mana. Yep. And this discard outlet thing doesn't come into play that often when you're playing with Crypt Breaker, but the fact that it has it and you have Hashiton and you have a couple of discard payoffs in the deck means that there's even more value stapled onto this 1-drop. You're not just using it for the card draw, you're also using it for those tokens at instant speed. It fuels itself. It's a 1-mana engine. It's got to be really good.
It's awesome. Which brings us to our next card, which is Undead Augur. This is black for a 2/2 zombie wizard. Whenever Undead Augur or another zombie you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. This is really this whole category of card is really good.
I've died to having this card on the board, actually, because I had too many zombies when they board wiped.
And you just didn't plan it through?
Nope. Yeah.
That doesn't happen all that often.
It doesn't happen all the time. I drew a lot of cards before I died.
Yes.
And then I died. It was sweet.
These effects are really good.
It's really, really good. And especially in this deck, you want to just swing with all of your creatures.
Yeah.
And if they start blocking them, you draw cards. So it makes it a very complicated deck to deal with in combat.
Yeah. And it just makes it very not positive for them to kill your stuff. Eventually. You're just like, it works for me. I can probably find a way to bring them back. I can use my graveyard somehow.
Oh, you give me 3 more cards? Sure. Yeah, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
I like Undead Augur a lot. He's also brings up the zombie conundrum because he's a zombie wizard.
Yes.
Did he become a wizard before he died or after he died?
I like to think that most of them were wizards before they died, but if you try really hard, you can still become a wizard after you
can go to zombie school. You can get it done. You can graduate at any time.
Magic doesn't care if you're alive or dead.
Undead Augur, definitely really, really powerful. These kind of zombie staples are the reason that zombie is such a powerful type.
Yeah.
Is they just have a lot of card draw built in. They've got a lot of recursion built in. And they've got a lot of power built in when you have your commander on the board.
Absolutely. And then the third one we had listed as best cards will not be that much of a surprise if you've been paying attention.
Because I love him. And so does Jordan. It's Hashiton, Scarab's Fist. When you have a commander that just incidentally loots, and then you have a way to have the thing that you discard become a 4/4, is pretty bananas.
Every time I was goldfishing with this deck and I got Hashiton out, I was like, oh my god, it's Hashiton!
It's happening! Okay!
Every turn would be like, oh, I can do this cool thing!
Yeah.
Oh man, I can do this! Oh, if I eternalize Rot Hulk, I get to bring back Rot Hulk and 5 other zombies! Hashiton's amazing.
Hashiton's really sweet. I like that it works in the 99 of this deck, even though our stats really don't
work for it to
be.
They
don't really support Hashiton out of the box. I think you could probably make it work, but the fact that you only have 14 things that actually allow you to draw a discard just says it's not quite there. Still, this deck is awesome.
Really cool.
So I want to talk about the upgrade goals before we get into the specific cards that we are adding to make this more powerful. What were you trying to do with these 10 cards?
So, well, first, I mean, one thing that was just obvious going through the stats is that even though this was a graveyard deck and it's discarding cards and all that, it doesn't have quite enough ways to use the graveyard. It doesn't have enough recursion and things like that. So I just wanted to add more cards that recur or use the graveyard as a resource in some way. I also think just because of Timid's ability, he draws a bit with the thing, but you want big bursts of card draw. You want to be, using your card draw to have Craterhoof effects almost.
Yeah.
Just knock everyone out.
+1/+1 is good, but you need like other instant speed draw spells can be like, oh, you didn't block my 4 zombies?
Oh.
You're taking a lot more than you think.
You've made a horrible mistake.
Oh, you did block my zombies? All your stuff dies. Oh no.
You need to respect the dead.
Respect the dead.
So we added some card draw effects in there, which is just always good for a deck anyway. Like if it synergizes with the commander to add card draw, it also synergizes with every other card in the deck.
Just makes your deck work better.
Yup. And then because he is an anthem, he benefits from going wide besides just making him go tall. So we wanted to kind of, add more things that would add zombie tokens that would go wide and consistently keep your board, expanding. And then we also, this is more in like the cuts, but we had things that weren't naturally zombies right off the bat or takes a little more work to be zombies or, just didn't fit. And we kind of trimmed some of those out.
Yeah, some of the stuff that would synergize more with Hashiton in the command zone. Doesn't work quite as well with Temet in the command zone.
Right.
So just trying to slim things down, make sure the whole deck is really working together. When you're building a typal deck, you just really don't want a ton of creatures that don't match the type. Like 1 or 2 is sort of where I draw the line. And you have 42 zombies, so you're not hurting for zombies, but more zombies, more good.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, this deck has Maskwood Nexus, but if you make a typal deck and you need Maskwood Nexus for it to like be doing its thing, you've got a problem.
Yeah, I don't love that.
Yeah.
All right, those are our goals with this upgrade. We're going to add 10 cards. We're going to take 10 cards out using a budget of only $50, and we're going to get into those specifics after a few words from our sponsors.
Fee, fi, fo, fum. It's your favorite giant, 100-handed one. 100 hands means 100 arms means 100 underarms, more or less. And while I can block 100 creatures no problem, I can't block 100 armpits worth of BO. That's why I use MANDO, the whole body deodorant that blocks odor all day. MANDO makes me smell great. Plus it's safe to use anywhere on my body. And I'm a giant. I've got a lot of body. So with MANDO, I can tackle my New Year's resolutions without smelling monstrous. I'll read 100 books, do 100 push-ups a day, and make 100 new friends.
Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code COMMAND at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Again, that's code COMMAND at shopmando.com. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
Hey everybody, we wanted to tell you about a cool new deck building tool that we've been using around the office, Commander Spellbook.
It's the ultimate community-driven guide to MTG combos, whether you love them or hate them. If you don't like going infinite, you can check your decks for combos by just pasting in your deck list or an ARCHIDEKT link.
Or if you want to power things up, you can see combos you're just 1 card away from. And for each one, they have a step-by-step guide on exactly how to pull it off. So when you play it, you're ready to win.
They even have a robust search engine that lets you find new combos based on specific cards, total price, or final outcome, like Infinite Landfall.
Infinite Landfall? It's like a fever dream.
Commander Spellbook is the best way to check your deck for combos or find new ones to build around with its powerful search engine. Just go to commanderspellbook.com and check it out today. Again, commanderspellbook.com.
Has this ever happened to you? You try to eat healthy, but end up going back to the same old junk food?
I want to eat better, but it's just too inconvenient.
Wrong! Because HelloFresh makes eating healthy easy.
It does? But how?
I'm glad you asked, little Billy.
Murph, we work together.
With HelloFresh, all the hassle of eating healthy is handled for you. They send pre-portioned ingredients for delicious and nutritious meals straight to your door. That saves you both time and money. There's no grocery shopping and no eating the same thing over and over. HelloFresh has 50+ dinner options to choose from each week. Their biggest menu ever, with meals to fit your wellness goals or diet, like calorie and protein smart recipes. My favorite is the pork chops with mushroom marinara. Look at them taters, yummy. And if you sign up now, you'll also get breakfast for life. That's 1 totally free breakfast item in every single HelloFresh delivery. Plus, when you subscribe using our link, you're directly supporting everyone here at the Command Zone, including poor little Billy here.
Still Murph.
Click the link in the description or use our code and get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life from HelloFresh. Again, find that link in the description. 1 breakfast item per box while subscription is active if you're in the US. Outside the US, the local discount will apply.
I think it might need more card draw.
Who are you talking to? Or is that just something you say?
Oh, no, I'm on a call with Jimmy. We're building a Chatterfang deck.
Ooh, I just added Toski. That should help, right?
Whoa, the card just showed up.
Yeah, with ARCHIDEKT, you can collaborate in real time from anywhere in the world.
Changes show up immediately. You don't even have to reload the page.
So it's perfect for brewing with a friend.
This is cool, but isn't Jimmy just upstairs?
Yeah, but I'm downstairs right now.
I ain't coming downstairs. ARCHIDEKT is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/command zone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/command zone.
Welcome back, everybody. We are upgrading the Eternal Might Precon from the new Aetherdrift set. It's white, it's blue, it's black, it's full of zombies. And we're going to add 10 new cards to make it as powerful as it possibly can be using a budget of only $50. We've already told you what we're trying to do with these cards. Let's talk about them.
So we tried to add a bunch of cards. Like we kind of put these into categories, and this first category is just like stuff that draws cards in the setup of this deck. We did try and kind of make a lot of these fit into a couple of the things that we were saying here.
Yeah.
This first one is sort of the whole kit and caboodle.
Why is she not in this deck?
We're adding Varina Lich Queen.
Yeah, it's probably because if you put Varina in the deck, everybody's just like, just
We
put
should
Varina
run
in the
Varina.
just put Varina in the command
That's a great
zone.
point. I have a Varina Lich Queen deck.
Yeah, you were the perfect upgrader for this
Yeah,
deck.
and well, that's what I said. The first thing I did is kind of go through my Varina deck and be like, these are my favorite cards from this, and the number that were already in the deck were astonishing. But Varina is so good with Temid.
Yeah,
So good.
reader.
So Varina is 1 white, blue, black for a 4/4 legendary creature zombie wizard. And she says, whenever you attack with one or more zombies, draw that many cards, then discard that many cards. You gain that much life.
What?
Really good.
That's a huge amount.
With Timid, that means every time you attack, you are crater hoofing.
That's nuts.
That's so
They don't have
good.
trample, but like still, gee whiz.
Oh yeah, you're right. Don't have trample.
Yeah.
Then she also has the ability.
But you do gain that much life.
I know,
Oh
a ton of life. She has the ability to exile 2 cards from your graveyard, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. And you know what? You don't do this all the time, but you are just filling up the graveyard. And if you have all these lands that you've been discarding, and you're just turning them into more zombies on the board, which are going to be gaining you life and drawing you cards and pumping up in these things, Varina's going to rule in this deck.
Yeah. Anytime you can turn looting, drawing, and discarding into more card advantage than card parity, so by exiling the cards you put in the graveyard or by making token copies of the cards you put into the graveyard, things get really, really powerful and out of hand fast. And so Varina's just going to do a ton of work for you.
And she's 50 cents. So
She just got reprinted. Pick up a Varina. She'll be great.
absolutely.
Up next, we talked about instant speed, big chunks of card draw, and this is a really cool one. It's Stinging Study. 4 and a black for an instant. You draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the mana value of a commander you own on the battlefield or in the command zone. You've got a 5 mana commander, so this is 5 mana, draw 5 at instant speed. Can you imagine? You're being attacked by like 4 zombies.
Yeah, and you're like, all right,
I'm gonna
no
block that
blocks.
one because I have a free. I'll block this one because I have like a free block on it, and I'll take 6.
It's a 2/2. I've got a 1/5.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then they cast this. All of their stuff gets +5/+5. You lose the thing you blocked with, and you take 14.
Yeah.
No, more than that. How many did I say that?
Yeah, I mean, if you blocked one of them, you take.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if there was 3 or 4 zombies in this
You
example.
take like 21 because they all
yeah,
get
if there's
+5.
4 examples,
Yeah.
If there's 4 zombies in the example, you take 21, and you're like, what?
Insane.
That's incredible. It's a really cool moment. Plus, you drew 5 cards, so.
And I think it's worth noting that we pretty much just added Stinging Study for like the instant speed big draw spells, but there's a lot of others to look in there if you continue upgrading the deck that would all just be like fun blowout experiences to have in this.
Yeah, dig through the cards that you have. Stinging Study is $8.50, so it's a bit on the spendier side. It's really good in this deck, but it's also one that can go in a lot of other decks. Or if you just have a big instant speed card draw spell at home, put that one in.
Yeah. This next card also goes in a lot of decks and is a very good, popular typal card, which is Kindred Discovery.
Oh, it's so gross in this deck.
Kindred Discovery is like always good
Yes.
in typal decks. It's really good in this deck. Because, okay, Kindred Discovery is 3 blue for an enchantment, and it says, as Kindred Discovery enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card. So you're getting cards when you play zombies. When you attack with all those zombies, you draw a card for all those zombies, and you do the same Verena Lich Queen thing.
But you don't discard.
Yeah. There are worlds where you have both Verena and Kindred Discovery, and you know what happens then? You lose because you mill yourself out. No. You do have to be careful with this card.
Yeah, Kindred Discovery, not a May. This is the kind of card that I always look at. I'm like, 5 mana is a lot of mana. And then it's in play, and you're like, I draw 8 cards.
This is my whole game.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful. And the fact that it's going to feel a lot less expensive in this deck because if your commander is also on the battlefield, this is a card draw spell and it's an Anthem effect.
Yep.
Which is pretty sweet.
Just very good.
$9 for Kindred Discovery and worth every penny. Keep an eye out for reprints if you don't want to pick it up at $9. This one kind of does roller coasters in terms of price.
So the next one we got here was kind of like a neat find that may not be the best card you've ever played, but I think it's really neat in the deck, which is Unfulfilled Desires. This is a 1 blue-black enchantment from Mirage that basically just says, has the activate ability, 1 and pay 1 life, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. So the thing that's cool about this is, 1, it helps with Hashiton. It helps with all your discard cards that are in the deck. But the threat of activation of that sitting on the board means you can just pump your zombies for the number of cards for the number of mana that you have available. Sure, you probably need to pay attention to your life going on, but there's lots of ways to kind of incidentally gain life in this deck. So I don't think using it as a resource is too bad. Yeah, Verena's great. The other thing that this really helps do is, even though you only have a couple big finisher reanimates or anything like that, when you have a solid board that's attacking, this is letting you just dig through your deck, dig, and find your big finishers. Find the things you really care about. Dump the stuff that you don't, or the stuff that you plan on reanimating or getting more value out of in the graveyard into your graveyard all the time.
Yeah.
I think it seems like a really cool add to the deck.
This is cool, and I think you're right. The threat of activation is going to do a lot for you because it makes your stuff difficult to block. It also makes you very difficult to attack into.
Yeah.
If you have 3 or 4 mana untapped that you could spend in any way, you're in white and blue, flashy colors, they can't really attack you because all of a sudden your board can be 4 bigger at any given time.
Yeah.
And it's a big, upfront investment cost. 3 is sort of more than we expect to pay for a looter. But the fact that you can do it as many times as you have mana for
really powerful
means you're going to see a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Plus, Unfulfilled Desires is only $1.75.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. And you get to be the person at the table where your opponent goes, what is that card? That was very skilled.
That was the plan the whole time.
The paper just sat on his shoulder like a bird for the audio-only people. All right. Up next, our category is Going Wide. We've already talked about how beneficial it is in this deck to have a lot of creatures because your commander is an Anthem effect. Let's make sure we have all of the zombies to make it feel as powerful as possible. This first one is just a really good zombie card. It's just the kind of that thing. It's Diregraph Colossus, sitting at $4.50. This is a zombie giant for 2 and a black. When it enters the battlefield, it enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each zombie card in your graveyard. Great. We've been looting. And then whenever you cast a zombie spell, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. It's big. It makes a lot of zombies. It's 3 mana. It pays you off for looting.
So
yeah, this card is just an army in a can, which is exactly what you want. Your opponents are going to have to board wipe you. They're going to have to handle what you're throwing at them. Having cards in your deck that just are insta boards is going to be very powerful.
And it's $4.50.
Yeah, doable.
Yep. You'll run this in any zombie deck. It's very good. Speaking of another one that's just a great, I think of as kind of recent, but I guess I don't remember exactly when it was.
I think it was Innistrad. I think it was like a Crimson Vow.
But this card is Necroduality, which is 3 and a blue for an enchantment. And it says, whenever a non-token zombie you control enters, create a token that's a copy of that creature.
2 zombies for the price of 1.
Yeah, that's always really nice.
That's a buy one, get one sale on dead guys.
It doesn't do anything when you initially cast it, but boy, Double the dead, double the fun, you know?
Yeah, that's what, if, what's one dead guy when you can have two?
Yeah, and I mean, if you get 2 Diregraph Colossuses, then all your zombies are making you
Gross.
just 2 zombies every time, which is like really adds up.
Yeah, this card's sweet. It's very, very powerful. It just got caught a reprint in Innistrad Remastered, so hopefully that price will come down a little bit, but it's currently sitting at $15, and it's because zombies are popular and this card is good.
Yeah, this is our big money include.
Yeah.
Get you something nice.
Get yourself something nice. Get a foil one from us.
Yeah.
You're a zombie deck. You want to make sure you're using the graveyard, and they've just come out with a very cool new zombie card from Foundations. It's Zul Asher Lich Lord. 1 and a black for a legendary creature zombie warlock. She has ward, pay 2 life, and an activated ability that says tap. You may cast target zombie creature card from your graveyard this turn.
Pretty good.
That's perfect.
Yeah, because, I mean, sometimes you'll be getting a ton of stuff into your graveyard, but a lot of times with Timid, you'll just be kind of doing that one looting each time. And if you have Zulashur out on the board, then you're turning that into card advantage. You just cast it from the graveyard every turn. She's really well costed.
Yeah, not to mention she's just a zombie. So when she's on the battlefield, she can be huge, and when you're looting, she can give you that card back. I think this card is going to feel really, really good when you have it on the battlefield, and your opponents are going to have to deal with it, or it's going to overwhelm them with card advantage. It's just that kind of card. Up next, a big one.
This is just one of the most
Zulashur,
fun.
only 50 cents. Sorry, cheapie.
This next one is just one of the most fun zombie cards that you can have. It's one of the most flavorful cards in Magic.
It's one of the best top-down card designs of all time, in my opinion.
I really love it. It's Zombie Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
Which is 3 black, black, black for a sorcery that says return all zombie creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, then destroy all humans.
Yes!
Yeah!
The zombies come up and they eat all the guys?
It's so good.
That rules.
We're putting this into the deck to hate on humans deck.
Yeah, get them.
That's the real reason.
Get them. No, it's just sweet. It just reanimates your whole graveyard. You've been filling it up. I'm honestly surprised it didn't come in the Precon. It's like sitting at 75 cents. You're doing a ton of looting.
It's so much fun.
And your deck is full of zombies.
The number of games in zombie games that I've won by just being like, and Zombie Apocalypse.
Zombie Apocalypse is going to be a huge finisher in this deck, as well as the next one. It's Liliana Dreadhorde General.
Yes.
4 black, black for a legendary Planeswalker Liliana. It says whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Nice. Then +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Nice. -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice. And -9, each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. She comes in with 6 loyalty, so you can do that -4 right away. And I generally advise that you do. This is not the kind of Planeswalker that your opponents allow to sit on the battlefield very long because that static ability is really strong.
She does luckily protect herself decently well because she makes, if you tick her up, she makes the zombies and you normally have a board going on and that kind of thing. But like just tearing down opponents' boards is really huge on this. Getting some cards out of it.
Yeah, being able to play this, have everybody sacrifice 2 things, you draw 2 cards and everybody else is down 2 creatures is a huge swing. And I feel like really is the power of Liliana Dreadhorde General is that combination of things.
And zombie decks just have things to discard. I mean, to sacrifice.
And then they still have to deal with a Planeswalker on the other side of it. So
absolutely.
Liliana has been reprinted a bunch and is finally down to like $5. She just got reprinted in Foundations. So get a Liliana Dreadhorde General now. If you don't put it in this deck, you'll put it in another one. She's great.
Yeah, when I saw the price that she's at now, I was
Slam
like,
dunk.
you gotta add that.
Slam dunk. Yeah, I agree. And one more.
This was added partially because we took out some of the kind of less efficient interaction, spoilers for the things we take out. And this was kind of a cool piece of interaction that fits with zombies and also has some typal payoff.
Yeah.
Which is Invasion of New Capenna. This is white and a black for a 4
defense counter.
Defense battle siege. And when Invasion of New Capenna enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice an artifact or creature. When you do, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls. So basically, this is just exile something from their board, and then you can attack it with all your mini zombies, and when it flips over, it becomes the Holy Frazzle Cannon.
I love it.
Great name. This is an artifact equipment that says whenever equipped creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on that creature and each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. And it has a quip of only 1.
Yeah, this card killed me in Limited so many times. Oh
Yeah.
boy, did I die to Holy Frazzle Cannon.
Just pumping your board every time you attack after getting to get rid of something, I think that's just value on top of removal.
This is also the kind of deck that your opponents just can't afford to defend a battle.
Yeah.
You're already difficult to block. They're not going to be like, I'm not throwing a creature in front of your stupid battle. And you're like, great, I'm so
absolutely.
glad you didn't. Now I get a Holy Frazzle Cannon.
Oh boy, you're about to get frazzled.
Or cannoned.
Yeah, one of those.
This card's really good. It's only 25 cents, and it does this sort of 2 cards in one thing where you get the 2 spells, even though you're sacrificing a creature to do the removal. So it's really good. You should play it. It'll be
fun.
cool. The total for this upgrade is $45.75. So pretty close to the budget. We're using most of it. And I feel like a lot of these cards are just really going to up the synergy and the punching power of this deck when you play it.
Yeah, I think it'll just help it be a little more consistent, and just get it to the point where you are doing your big zombie attack thing you want to be doing a little faster. But we did have a couple of things that we kind of considered as additions, and then we decided not to because it takes it in a little more of a like really gassy kind of combo direction. But we're still going to tell you about it a little bit because that can be fun.
Yeah,
sometimes.
if you're the kind of play group that will sometimes pull out an infinite combo, this deck has a Gravecrawler.
And Gravecrawler goes infinite with a ham sandwich.
Yeah, this is just that kind of card. And we're not going to talk about all of the infinite combos for Gravecrawler because there are so many different ways to make a ham sandwich. But a couple of the big ones that you could consider adding. For those who don't know, Gravecrawler is a single black for a zombie. It says this creature can't block. And you may cast this card from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. Boy, do you in this deck.
Yep.
Control zombies. And it's only a single black mana, so when you cast it from your graveyard, it's very easy to do loop-de-loops. The first loop-de-loop engine is very common in zombie decks. It's Rooftop Storm.
Yeah.
It's a blue 6-mana enchantment. It says you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for zombie creature spells you cast.
And if you want to just add this to the deck, that's a perfectly fine include. It can definitely accidentally go infinite with things, but it also sort of rocks. So.
It rocks. It's a really sweet card if you're building zombies. Part of the reason is kind of because you can play Rooftop Storm. This like zombie omniscience effect is very cool. With Gravecrawler, if you have any free sack outlet, you can cast Gravecrawler infinite times from your graveyard. So you get infinite zombie casts, infinite dice triggers, infinite ETB triggers.
Mana from like Ashnod's Altar or something.
Yeah, depending on what your sack outlet is, infinite sack effects.
Yeah.
So be wary of that. There aren't a ton of free sack outlets in the deck naturally. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I don't think there is one. I mean, if you look at the deck list and we're wrong, leave an angry comment.
But it's the kind of thing that can go kind of bananas with Gravecrawler.
And so the next card we wanted to point out is one that is from the new the recent Modern Horizons 3, and is kind of just a 1-card combo with Gravecrawler, which is Warren Soul Trader. This is 2 and a black for a 3/3 zombie goblin wizard. So it is a zombie itself, and it has the ability to pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. So yeah, this isn't quite infinite on its own because you're limited by the amount of life you would have to pay to do it.
Right.
But if you have something that gains life when something dies, like, a Blood Artist effect or something like that.
Yeah, they have those in the deck. There's the one that whenever a zombie enters the battlefield under your control, your opponents lose 1 and you gain 1.
Yep. If you have any of that sort of thing, this will just win the game for you.
It's pretty sweet. It's also very powerful, especially when you're seeing as much of your deck as you can in Hashiton and Temet. You're really going through it. So you'll probably find those pieces even if you don't have a ton of tutors. So if you want to gas up the deck a little bit more, those are all cards that are worth considering. Now it's time to talk about the cards to cut. We've added 10 cards. Now we have to do the hard thing.
I know.
We have to fire 10 cards.
And I will tell you, a lot of times when we do these upgrades, for the most part, I'm like, yeah, there's 10 cards that seem pretty obvious. And there were a couple that I think were the quick cuts in this.
Yeah.
But by the end of the cuts list, I was cutting things I like.
Yeah, we're getting kind of tight at the bottom here. So a lot of the stuff that we talked about initially was just cutting out some of the non-zombie creatures. There's some synergy with these things, and a lot of them are like Amonkhet style cards, but they're not necessarily synergizing if they haven't been eternalized. So that's like Champion of Wits, which is ETB, draw 2, discard 2, and then if you eternalize it for 7, it's draw 4, discard 2.
4. Yeah, 4, discard 2, right.
Right, because it's equal to its power.
Yep.
So it's good in the deck. It does the draw discard thing. It becomes a zombie eventually, but we've added a bunch of draw, and it's not a zombie itself.
Yeah, it's just a bit of work to make it happen. The next one is Vizier of Many Faces. This is basically a clone that embalms as a clone that's a zombie.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Embalm.
Well, embalm is different.
I know.
It doesn't change the power and toughness of the whole thing. But yeah, it's good. But there's not a ton of synergy with clones in this. And besides it just being like, well, you can make it whatever you want.
It's not a zombie in graveyards, so it doesn't work with Rot Hulk. It doesn't work with the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
It works with some things and is probably a fine card if you don't want to add any of the cards that we mentioned today.
The next card that we cut was Timeless Dragon, which is just a 5-mana 5/5 flyer, and it has Eternalize, so it comes back as a 4/4 flyer, 4/4. And then it also has Plane Cycling for 2. And sort of the joke of this card is that you just Plane Cycle it and then Eternalize it. So, and that's a nice little play pattern going on there. But it's just not anything crazy. And Plane Cycling doesn't count as drawing a card for the stuff. It does help into the discard synergies a little bit.
Better with Hashiton in the command zone, just generally.
And you have 39 lands in the deck, so I just don't think you're dying to Plane Cycle.
You're hurting for lands all that much, Similarly, we ended up cutting Angel of Sanctions. This is an angel that when it enters the battlefield, you exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Angel of Sanctions leaves the battlefield, and then it embalms. It's a 5-mana angel. We really don't want to be spending mana on angels in this deck. I guess you could discard it and then pay 6 to embalm it later. But then it's a token, which is not exactly the type of removal that we expect to see in Commander.
Yeah, so. And it's also, removable thing. It's just an O-ring effect.
Yeah.
It's fine, but not great. The next one is Twisted Abomination. This is a 6-mana 5/3 that is a zombie mutant and just has for 1 black regenerate Twisted Abomination, and then it has Swamp Cycling too. This is fine. It's just a zombie body. I think it's in there because the Swamp Cycling 2 makes it a pretty low cost include.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the worst zombies in the deck. It's expensive. It doesn't really do much. Regenerate is
just not quite
worth
the hell. It's just not quite worth the card slot.
Yeah.
When we can add cooler stuff.
Yep.
Up next is Binding Mummy. This is similar. It's a 2-mana creature zombie. Whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, you may tap target artifact or creature. So not a similar effect, but kind of a similar feeling about it. You can tap stuff down, and that's pretty good. But they're not going to want to block you anyway, so you tapping things at sorcery speed isn't going to feel all of that powerful in my mind.
Yeah, it's neat, and there's scenarios where it does a big thing, but I just don't think it's quite worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
The next card we cut is Commence the Endgame. This is a 6-mana blue draw spell at an instant, so it is an instant speed draw spell, but it's just not very good.
It only draws 2 cards.
This spell can't be countered, and then it draws 2 cards, and it amasses X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So, it probably gets you,
if I'm paying 6 mana, I want to draw more cards than that.
I completely agree.
Even if it gives me, a 5/5 or something, at instant speed, sure, but it's just not what I expect out of 6 mana in Commander.
No. When I read the card, I hadn't seen it in a while. I know it's from, War of the Spark or whatever, but I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably a good card. 2 cards.
Yeah, that's so
6
sad.
mana.
I don't think that makes the cut. The next one is another interaction spell. It's Never to Return. So this is one of the Aftermath cards. So it's 1 black for a sorcery, destroy target creature or planeswalker. That's pretty good. And then the Aftermath side is a sorcery for 4 mana. That's exile target card from a graveyard, make a zombie token. So you're
4,
just not really casting that spell.
No.
So for me, the only thing this says is 1 black at sorcery speed, kill a creature or a planeswalker.
Which I think is like a little below what I normally run and things.
It's fine. It's
like
cool,
Hero's
like
Downfall-ish.
Amonkhet flavor, but if I'm getting like putting creature removal into a deck, I really, really want it at instant speed because I'm only removing it if it affects me.
Yeah.
So that sorcery speed really hurts it here, even more than that one extra mana.
Yeah. The next 2 are sort of a pair that I feel bad about cutting.
Yeah.
But they're gone.
Too late.
The first is god-pharoah's Gift, which is basically a 7 mana artifact that at the beginning of combat on your turn exiles a creature card from your graveyard and makes a 4/4 version of it. It just does this once per turn. It is like kind of a powerful effect, but it's just 1 4/4 per turn. It's very expensive. Like, if you're going to spend 7 mana, you want more than a 4/4 out of it, because who knows if it's even going to make it around the next turn.
You compare this to Portal to Phyrexia, it's Portal, but from 2016, 2017, and it just feels a little underpowered these days.
Yeah.
You can do some cool stuff with it if you're like populating the token or if you're taking advantage of the token thing, but I don't think this deck does enough.
Yeah. Now, okay, it is paired with this other card, which is called Gate to the Afterlife, which is a 3 mana artifact that basically whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you gain 1 life, and then you may draw a card if you do discard a card. So that's not a bad effect. But then it also can pay 2 and sacrifice itself and search for god-pharoah's Gift and put it into play.
Yeah.
And I do kind of love these cards, partially because... were you playing in Amonkhet?
That was before me.
So one of the cool things is that in Amonkhet, they put Gate to the Afterlife, but god-pharoah's Gift wasn't printed until Hour of Devastation.
Oh, that's funny.
So the card references search for god-pharoah's Gift, and everyone's like, oh, what's god-pharoah's Gift? What's it going to do? Is this card going to be good later?
Yeah.
And it was, in certain formats and stuff, but it's just not quite good enough here.
Yeah, you don't have enough sack outlets is sort of the problem. This isn't an aristocrat style deck. You have some ways, like things can die in combat and incidentally, but you just are not as in control of when this drawing and discarding happens.
Yeah.
And the effect, as we said, is just not quite good enough.
And it's only non-token, which is going to be a problem for a lot of your like little 2/2 zombies.
Oh, for sure. There's so many
stuff.
like make a ton of zombie stuff.
So it's out.
So those are the 10 cuts, the 10 that we recommend cutting to make way for the ads that we have already gone through. That's the upgrade. You can check the updated list on ARCHIDEKT. We'll have all of the cards from the Precon, the 10 we added, and you can go on there and play test it and see how it feels before you buy. Check it out. Their playtester is great. What should they expect in that playtesting process? How does the deck play out?
From my testing of the whole thing, I don't think it's a very fast deck right out of the gate. Like, this wants to build up
Zombies
momentum.
are slow.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I think that the deck wants to, in its first turns, like focus on getting out a board of zombies before it even plays Temet.
Definitely.
Because when you play Temet, you want to immediately attack and get the draw and start doing that. Like, yeah, Temet's a great attacker, but you don't want to be waiting a whole turn around that for a 5 mana commander, which is pretty expensive. It doesn't have a ton of ramp, but it has like good land, so it's going to really consistently like build its engine out and fill its graveyard and get its things. And I think that it will just keep sort of exponentially growing as you get more zombies and more things going on like that.
It does have like a decent curve to play a zombie on 2, play a zombie on 3. Like you can fill the board before Temet comes down.
Definitely. And I think it's going to reward you for like attacking aggressively and early and making sure you keep the pressure on, because it has enough things that reward, ping everyone for 1 when a zombie enters the board, or whenever something dies, ping everyone for 1. Like lots of little effects like that. So if you can put pressure on early and keep people's life totals low, eventually you're going to just be playing zombies every turn, pinging everybody, playing zombies, pinging people, drawing cards, attacking with everything. And I think it can really, like, what I think what this deck really has is inevitability and resilience.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's going to still be able to use things from its graveyard and just kind of come back where a lot of decks that are as on board as this one would kind of fold to, a board wipe or two. But zombie decks just sort of don't do that.
I mean, that's really what you want. That's what I want out of my Esper decks, right?
Yeah.
Is I want some amount of control, some amount of protection, and some amount of graveyard recursion where it's like, I will win in the long game. So you need to figure out how to get through this now. And so it's cool that this has an early game that is a little bit more aggressive. And there's like, oh, did you handle the early game? Well, my late game's great too, baby.
And it's the sort of deck that even if you have been aggressively playing out all your cards, you have a full hand.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just always a good position to be playing from.
For sure. The fact that you can turn card draw into damage, just weaponizing a thing that is already busted is very cool.
Super cool.
But remember, your commander's 5 mana, so careful when you deploy it. Hold up protection if you have it. Make sure you have a board that's worth it, or you have a card draw spell that works really well with it.
Because if they removed him a couple times, he's
very difficult to get back on the battlefield.
Yeah, very expensive.
You can hit those land drops, but recasting a commander for 9 is makes for a long game.
Yep.
All right, to the listeners, what do you think of this Precon? Are you as high on it as we are? Any cards that we missed to add that you're like, this zombie card, obviously. Any cards we suggested to take out or add, do you disagree with? Are you a God-Pharaoh's Gift stan? I believe it. It's cool. I agree.
Cool.
You can keep it if you want. You just have to make the cut decision yourself because it's hard. This deck is really tight.
Yeah. Yeah, out of the box, I think it's just a very cool deck.
Yeah. If you want to pick it up and try it for yourself, go to cardkingdom.com/command. They've got a huge selection of singles and sealed product. If Aetherdrift is the set that you've been waiting for, if you're a Fast and the Furious fan, go check out their website. There's some cool treatments in this set. They've got like some very cool looking cards that you can pick up on the website. So go to take a drive through the Aetherdrift options because they've got a huge selection that you can pick up in one place, and they're going to ship it to you safely and soundly so that the cards you order on the website are the ones that you open and get to sleeve up right away. Card Kingdom's the best. We trust them for all of our card shopping needs, which are a lot. We need a lot of cards.
When you want to get your cards fast and not be furious about it.
There it is.
Right?
Cardkingdom.com/command. And once those cards are in your hand, keep them safe, keep them protected. Pick up the accessories you need from ultrapro.com/command. They've got sleeves and deck boxes, play mats, binders, card sorters, everything that you need to make sure that your collection is well organized and well dressed. Plus, they've got the Mana 8 line. That's one of their new lines. It's big and white and elegant, and you can get playmat and the sleeves and the deck box to match. These are their new Apex sleeves. They're awesome.
Super nice.
They're really nice.
Yeah.
They shuffle really well, and they're white, and so if you have like a monocolored deck, it just looks really sharp.
Yeah, they just feel really clean.
Pick up the color that speaks to you. Maybe you're also a mono white player, or you're a mono green player, like Jordan.
Love me some mono green.
Take a look. And if you pick up the Mana 8 line, bring it to MagicCon after going to ultrapro.com/command, of course. Take it to MagicCon. Come see us at Game Nights Live. We are going to be performing on February 21st on Friday. We've got a cool lineup of guests that we can't tell you about just yet. It's going to be a very fun show. Yep. That's February 21st at 6 p.m. Again, we're in a side theater. So we're going to be a little bit of a different place. Make sure that you know where to go beforehand, but we know that we're going to have a ton of seats for you, and it's going to be theater style. So the show's going to be a little different. The seating situation is going to be a little bit different, and you don't need to get there like crazy far in advance to guarantee a seat than before. I think there's going to be plenty of room because there's a lot of seats. It's going to be great. So everybody can see the show if they want to see it. We're excited about it.
Now, if you want to be in the front row, you got to put that work in.
I was going to say. All right, let's move to the end step where we talk about something cool outside the world of Magic, and you've got one prepared for us this time.
Yes. So we around the office have started playing this game that's kind of gotten popular recently. It's still in closed beta, but you can basically like buy the Founders Pass and you get in. It's called The Bazaar.
Okay.
It is
Bazaar like a place where you shop, not bizarre like weird.
But it's also kind of weird.
It's a bazaar.
It's a bazaar. No, but it's like an auto battler. They call it a hero builder because basically the way it works is you play a hero, and the premise is that you are sort of a merchant yourself, buying and selling amongst all the different characters and pieces of the bazaar.
Okay.
But you are advancing from day to day and like finding items and making a build on the thing in front of you. So if you've ever played any auto battlers, like you just come up with the synergies. Like you, for all intents and purposes, draft the deck and put it together.
Right.
And then it matches you up at
you.
the end of each day and plays it for you.
Okay.
And it's so good. It's so interesting. And they're constantly changing it because it is still in beta. So they're, adjusting the pieces all the time. We have been obsessed.
Okay.
What
do you play it on? Is it a phone game?
It's on PC. They are going to have a mobile release at some point they've been talking about. But right now, you just have to go on. The company is called Tempo that makes it. And like me and Gaurav and Sam, one of our VFX guys, and Josh have been playing a lot of it. And we constantly are like, when we get a 10 win on the thing, we've been like sending our screenshots to each other and be like, check out this Vanessa build I got going on here. Yeah, I insta-freezed all their stuff. There was nothing they could do about it. So we have a whole chat log that's like back and forth of us just like sending all our successes to each other.
Just bizarre brags?
Oh yeah, bizarre brags. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool, evolving game. And if you like Magic and you like building synergies and coming up with interesting, ways to counter the popular meta and things like that, it's just really fun to get into.
Fun.
I think it's like $30 to get a pass. It is eventually going to be free, but I honestly have found it to be extremely worth it to buy the Founders Pass now. And you even get an extra beta key that you can like give out to a friend if you wanted to play too.
Yeah.
Really fun game.
Sweet.
Yep.
Gamers, go down to the bazaar.
The bazaar.
The bazaar of the bazaar.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for watching this episode. Before we go, we're going to say a thank you to our team that made this episode possible. Thank you to Rachel Kendra, Karina Cruz, Sebastian Salazar, Gaurav Galati, Jamie Block, Jake Boss, Eric Lem, Josh Murphy, Manson Lung, Christopher Matista, Evan Limburger, Sam Waldo, Josh Lee Kwai, Jimmy Wong, and, of course, to Jordan Pridgen for taking the time to talk about zombies with me this afternoon.
Anytime. Thanks
for watching, everybody. We will see you next time. I hope your Aetherdrift is going good. Yeah. It's careful when you hit the booster thing. Fast and the Furious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The NOS.
Don't push it too early. Bye.
Bye.